newest extreme sport, and it's uniquely Australian. Burnouts have risen from raw rumblings to become an elite showcase of speed, noise, and intense horsepower. The Burnout Masters bring you the best of the best as they battle it out to become Burnout Master.
It's, the biggest event around. The crowd they get there, and just, there's only a handful of cars you can compete against. The atmosphere there is unreal. It's obviously one of the ones you need to win. You go there and have a crack, and it's one you like to put on your trophy wall at home.
The Masters class, you just got to qualify to get there. And then you've got to compete against 10 of the best cars in Australia. And none of these cars fault, none of these cars break. It is just such a hard, thrilling competition. It's just that one event that everyone in the scene wants to win.
Much like the glory days of touring cars in the 1970s, the cars are the stars. And the characters who steer them are as diverse as the machinery they throw around the pad. Blown injected monsters making over 1,000 horsepower are shoehorned into whatever suits the driving style. Whatever the size, they've got their eyes on that prize, the John Peterson Trophy. We're at Epic Tyres Burnout King, the pinnacle of Western Australia's competition, held at the Buckingham Palace of Burnouts, the Perth Motorplex.
The most vocal of any crowd around Australia. So, especially on Good Fridays, it's intense and it definitely gets you buzzing.
And definitely butterflies every time after you come off the track. The crowd's just amazing. You get right behind you.
It may be one of the world's most isolated cities, but Perth has a right royal collection of premium skid cars and stars.
The crowd's wild, goes off, and pretty much the more chance, the more limited bash I'm going to be giving it.
And the massive Burnout King event is where blood brothers shed rubber.
The spectators, unbelievable. The amount of people that they get here, the crowd, you can hear them over the cars, unbelievable. And it's just the atmosphere here is amazing.
Add to the lineup some fire-breathing beasts from the East Coast, and the fight for that Burnout King throne just got a whole lot hotter.
Yeah, there's 6 of us that came across. A lot of guys are told they've got to come here and experience it. As soon as you get on that pad and there's 10,000 spectators are screaming and yelling at you so close to it, it's unbelievable.
4 cars from the 2015 Summer Nats Burnout Masters final are here, but all eyes are on the new prince of the burnout scene, Andrew Lynch.
And Lynchy with a massive tip-in.
His incredible driving skills and unique tip-in style make him a fan favourite nationwide.
The crowd is amazing. Like, Summer Nats is something, but this is something else. Everyone knows what they're coming to get. Everyone's pumped because they're going to be watching 5 or 6 hours of burnout. I think that's fantastic. Perfect burnout would be heaps of smoke, foot off the brake from the start line, and just tipping it in and doing about 8 360s and not hitting a wall and then driving straight back up the other end of the pad where you just came from. It doesn't matter what happens after that, it's all about the tip in. You know when you get out of your car at the end if it's been good or if it's been terrible.
This event offers 3 golden tickets to the Burnout Masters at Summer Nats, which means every competitor will be laying it on the line to qualify for the Bathurst of Burnouts.
The Masters ticket is something that we really want. We're happy to travel, so whatever it takes, but we're better than West Australia to have the home crowd advantage, really.
The ticket for the Masters class at Summer Nats means you can just relax for the rest of the season and just take it easy.
In front of a 10,000 strong crowd at the Perth Motorplex, the stage is set for the Epic Tyres Burnout King. Let's rock and roll with these knights in revving armour. The packed Motorplex cauldron was treated to some wicked early evening skids with Jason Fletcher in loose change, lighting up the pad and winning the naturally aspirated class. However, it wasn't a graceful entrance for Simon Stone and going nuts. A bit too much speed on the tip-in had him ride the wall, sending the crowd into a frenzy. With With the early evening formalities out of the way, it's time for the big bangers in the blown class. And it's with Jeremy Williams that we're going to kick off the action. Nervous moments, and then it's excitement and a big warm welcome to Aaron Mackley, burnout judge and now turned commentator as we light the smoke up here at the Perth Motorplex.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. What a great way to start. Fairly pretty looking car. It's a Tirana hatch. Jeremy Williams got the injector hat on top of it now. Recently changed over from the carburetors. Seems to be doing pretty well so far.
Look at this massive crowd that we have here at the Motorplex for the Epic Tyres Burnout King event. A chance to qualify for the big one at Summernax in early January next year. And Jeremy Williams, 6th at the Burnout King event last year, is laying it all on the line.
Yeah, look at this. He's used so much of the pad early into his skid. Gone from one end to the other a couple of times over. Got the revs fairly well up there, a little bit on and off the throttle, but the smoke content is quite consistent, quite high.
Oh, until that happened. That was looking like a pretty good skid until it went out in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, hopefully he hasn't done too much damage there. He runs back into the car just to shut it down. But that put an end to his night pretty quickly.
Hard to pick exactly what that one was as.
Not too sure. It had a bit of a death rattle towards the end and it stopped pretty quickly.
Also knocked some oil up onto our onboard camera. 89.75, that's out of a possible 200, so Jeremy's going to be wanting for points here today. Oh, man.
Yeah, never a good thing when they stop that quickly at those sort of revs.
This is an unusual combination. It's the Mazda 1000, driven by Matthew Hughes, LS1 supercharged power. It's called Monster, and this is why.
Certainly is a monster. It's only about 800 kilos, maybe 900, this little ute. And he certainly throws it. I reckon it's picked the front wheel up as he's tipped it into the corner there. Serious power for a light car. The power to weight ratio will be absolutely off the charts. Drives it really well too. He's got it up on the limiter, and that's all right. He's giving it everything it's got. Smoking the Motorplex in so far. I love that sound. I really love it. He's just really torturing that engine. These LS motors have a really unique sound. They make their own squeal or a wail, if you like, but they love it. They just keep going all day. And there he goes again.
Oh, he's based not too far away in Fremantle. Just a little bit further north of where we are today. You were saying an unusual noise. He's also an unusual spot now because he's found the corner of the Motorplex snake pit. And that's going to ruin his score. But I tell you what, I don't think the crowd will worry too much because they were thoroughly entertained with that.
So was I, actually. It was quite entertaining. He didn't quite get to all the parts of the pad that he wanted to. Maybe the smoke could have been a little bit more consistent. But nevertheless, it was quite an entertaining burnout, and it's certainly one unique car.
He's our new points leader at the moment, but definitely cost himself some points getting stuck in the corner. We've only just begun here at the Epic Tyres Burnout King. Plenty more to come after the break as they try and grab a spot. Summernax 29.
My name's Steve Loader from Melbourne, Victoria, and I've got the HC Holden UC Smoke. People ask me that question why I like burnouts all the time, but I don't have a real answer. I just like getting out there and smashing tyres, big revs, big tip-ins. The sport's getting pretty fast these days, and just the crowd going wild, gets adrenaline pumping. I've been skidding for over 10 years, and it used to be the slow, steady sort of skid. These days it's all about the tip-in, obviously, at the start. It's, fast entry, it's high-speed stuff. That's what people like to see. That's what the crowd goes wild for. I don't know where it's going to go from here, but obviously just get faster and faster, I guess.
The time for talk is over for the 31-year-old Melbourne boy, Steve Loader. This is a very well-known burnout car in the country, UC Smoke. UC Blue Smoke tonight.
Setting a cracking pace, big revs, big tyre speed, a little bit of a shallow tipping. He normally likes to go in fairly deep, but he's still absolutely smothered the joining smoke. Really good start.
good a chance as any as we lose Steve through the middle of the snake pit to just highlight exactly what the judges are looking for here.
Yeah, Chad, you mentioned earlier the total scores out of 200 points, which is a breakdown of 10 points for presentation, 50 for smoke, 100 for driver skill, and 20 points for tyres, also 20 points for showmanship. These guys have got plenty of showmanship.
The judges want to see those tyres popped. Driving out of the burnout pad by your own steam on the rims, always a good way to impress the judges and get close to that maximum 200 points that are available to send you to Summonats next year.
Really big revs from Steve here tonight. You can see he's on and off the throttle just a little bit, but it's actually just wavering from 9,000 back to about 7.5, 9 to 7.5. He's not dropping it down too far. He gets close to the wall.
That wasn't close. He definitely touched it. It's going to hurt the score. The crowd, though, they've given him a very big Perth welcome. Part of this huge contingency that's travelled across from Victoria, all on the one truck, I might add. And the Brotherhood of the Victorians trying to take away some big trophies from the Perth Motorplex tonight. That is not going to be a trophy, though, for UC Smoke.
Unfortunately not, but he's come a long way, so he's going to enjoy his time out on the pad. There's no question about that.
New car, Reload, featured on the Street Machine cover recently. But a great chance to once again appreciate exactly what UC Smoke is capable of.
It is a seriously fine-tuned animal. That's over 500 cubic inches of blown big block Chevy, methanol injected. He's leaning on it at over 9,000 revs, and it's going like a daily driver.
That powerhouse engine combo somehow holding on. Look at that incredible crowd, both sides of the snake pit. Now it's done. And these new pipes that we're starting to see plenty of, pouring not just smoke out the back these days. Another one of our local contingency, Matt Purnell, in blackout, swings it in. It's called the tip-in. It's become a huge thing in the burnout scene in this country now. Everyone wants to have the biggest and best.
And a great tip-in it was too. It was almost technically perfect. He's tipped it in straight, come right back around on top of the car and driven straight out of it. Basically a perfect 360. The judges would have seen him in nice clean air and seen how well and how perfectly he was able to control the car in that tip-in.
Oh, that was close. Close to the concrete wall. The crowd absolutely eating this up. He's a very well-known name in WA. He's a two-time winner of Motivation, a three-time winner of this event. Used to see him driving H-Cubed, but now it's blackout. That is his weapon of choice.
Doing a great job here, Matt, in blackout. Really good smoke scores. He had plenty of instant, and now he's keeping up the continuous. He's going to be scoring really well with the judges with this burnout. He's a tough competitor, Matty Purnell. Wherever he goes, he's always a hard man to beat. And if he lays down a good skid, it's going to be right up there at the top. This is no exception.
Look at those pipes underneath just glowing raw red as the skid comes to an end with two dead tyres. This should score well.
He's pretty happy with himself. The crowd are pretty happy with him.
And that is just how close it was to the concrete wall. And 152.5 out of 200 sees him go to the top as well. So Matt Purnell in the box seat, although it is just early days. Specky Flames from blackout. To compete at this level in the burnout scene takes incredible skill and car engineering. And judges have strict areas they look for when assessing a killer skid.
Being a judge sport, it does make things hard, so one person's opinion. But I do believe they're doing the right thing. I think the way it's run now is very professional. Aaron Mackley is an absolute brilliant person who's taking control of it, and he's really making an effort to make it an honest and professional competition.
So Matt Purnell has his hands on one of those tickets to Summonats at the moment. Can he hang on to it? Will the other heavy hitters take it off him? We'll find out shortly. Well, we heard from this man before the break, and now it is time for Fear to take centre stage. Runner-up at like the Burnout Masters this year at Summonats, a former winner of this event back in 2012. Here is Fred Watson.
Very consistent performer, Fred Watson. You would expect that if his car is able to get through from the start to the finish, that he's going to be right up there in the top three. He's that good. The car's set up that well, and he goes out there with a plan. Let's see what he's got in store for us today. He's done a pretty good job so far.
Been a pretty good 12 months for Fear since finishing in the top three at this event last year, like we mentioned earlier. How strongly he did run at Summonats, but also a win up in Cairns at the Tropical Meltdown round. Helped him to qualify through to Summonats.
He's covering some fairly good ground here today. He's been down to the finish line, back up to the start. He's done it a few times. It's what the judges want to see. Don't get boxed into the middle. Smoke yourself in. Don't get stuck against the walls. Use plenty of the pad. Listen to the revs. Wow,
that is brutal on
there's
the throttle.
every bit of 9,000 plus in there.
Tell you what, good thing we've got that Southwestern here tonight, because you wouldn't be seeing much if you wasn't around. Oh no, it's lifted the blower, was that? Oh, the roar goes up from the crowd. Some flames out from around where the manifold is, but dearie me.
Yeah, you mentioned flames from the manifold. I reckon it's pushed out a blower gasket or a burst plate. Oh, he's a little bit concerned looking. Freddie just couldn't get it through to the finish line. Couldn't have been much left on those tyres. You can see him working the throttle there, just on and off, on and off.
Oh.
Bang, there it goes. Nearly lifted the bonnet clean off the car.
And so we move forward now to Ben Colgate, and isn't this guy in a bit of form? Taking up the Gazanats recently down at the Colgate Motorplex, and as a result, saw himself qualified directly to Summonats with one of those wild card positions. So he's already got himself a golden ticket. I guess if anything, this is just the icing on the cake, and what a good skid that was at Gazanats recently.
Yeah, winners are grinners with Benny Colgate. He's got the new injector hat set up on this big block ute. Used to run the methanol carbies. He's put the hat on it now. And have a listen to it go. Listen to me working that throttle. As part of the driving skill category, the judges will be looking for throttle control. Now have a listen to Benny. He is on and off, on and off. He's getting right on and off that throttle. Just dropping the revs back a little bit too far. I think you can hear he's got it up around 8,000. Then it falls back to about 5,000. Really wants to keep that a lot more consistent, which will keep the smoke volume a lot more consistent.
Second at last year's Burnout King. This new blown injector combination, tuned by WA drag racing identity. George Shaparovich knows a lot about blown motors, and that is helping Ben Colgate right now to some immediate success. Oh, but we've got flames out the right-hand side. I thought I saw the fireys were looking a little bit pensive, and that is why.
That's a shame. He was doing a really good job, Benny Colgate. He didn't have much left on the tyres. I reckon 5 or 10 seconds he would have had them down. He would have had a fairly competitive score as well.
Look at the damage that has done to the paintwork on the right-hand side. There is that new combo we were talking about.
And that's what I mentioned earlier with the throttle control. He's just getting off it just a little bit too far. And that was about the end of it right there.
One or two flames managed to get their way up to where the blower sticks out as well. You fancy having a guess as to what might have caused that one?
Yeah, not exactly sure, mate. Maybe a rocker cover has let go, or possibly out of the transmission. Definitely an oil fire of some sort on that driver's side with oil dripping onto the pipes. But whatever it was, it's put an end to Benny's night, unfortunately.
And the better part of nearly 100 points off the pace. So that has cost him. Speaking of fire, let's take you back to Summonats 28. Remember when this guy laid it down, Justin Brown, and struggling, a massive fire. And if you thought that was impressive from above, check out the thermal images as well. It was a serious inferno. We'll be hearing from him after the break, and as we go off to the break, let's check out some more amazing images from Gazanats recently down at Colgate. Another one to watch out for tonight is local legend Justin Brown, who's attempting to qualify a second car into the Grand Summonats Stoush.
The Summonats tickets here tonight, they mean a lot to me, but I've already got struggling through, so
if I get the ute through, it's going to be a bit hard, you know, trying to get 2 cars over, but what do? You're going to take them, aren't you? The comp here tonight, it probably rates probably one of the best in Australia. It's the following, it's humongous now. Tonight with the East Coast boys here, I think you're going to see everyone going a bit harder, and that includes myself.
He's going for something truly remarkable here, Justin Brown. To get 1 car into the Masters is impressive. Can he get 2 there in January? That's what we're about to find out.
That's a really nice tip-in from Justin Brown. The judges will be happy with that. They actually isolate the tip-in as part of the driver's skill score out of 100. And this is one of the best ones we've seen tonight. So he'll be right up there with one of the highest scores on the tip-in out of all the ones that we've seen tonight.
Also using plenty of that famous Motorplex snake pin. Also just rotates the car a couple of times. This is going to be up there. This is a definite chance of finishing top 3 and potentially grabbing one of those golden tickets. Oh, big flames out the back.
We heard him say earlier that he's going his hardest. He wants to have 2 cars having a crack at the Masters title in January next year. He's on the money. He hasn't got long to go. I think he might be able to make it with this burnout.
He is the defending Burnout King champion, thanks to Epic Tyres here at the Perth Motorplex.
Just getting caught against the wall. If he can get out of this, he can. Listen to the revs.
And it's all over for Wanna-Go. Justin Brown puts his best foot forward. The Perth Motorplex crowd comes to life, and you have a new points leader. He might be about to do this. He's definitely had a crack at it. He said he was going to go his hardest, and now we switch our attention to Blown Wagon.
Got a little bit of a crush on this car, Chad. It's a stunning vehicle, and it sounds amazing.
Part of the Gas 78 Industries crew. It also takes in some other heavy hitters, like Darren Williams and Diesel. They'll be coming up a bit later. And instant smoke, constant smoke. I think the smoke scores here will be pretty good.
Mate, they are not far off the top, I can guarantee that. Constant revs, that's a key to getting continuous smoke scores.
Oh, and it goes quiet. Now, he's been breaking blower belts recently. He came down here to have a crack at their Whoop It Wednesday events to see if he could fix that. So was it a blower belt?
Guys, let's make a bit of noise, give him some encouragement.
Well, he's trying to restart the car, so it can't be a blower belt.
Oh, that's really unfortunate for Jason. Just as I was saying, his continuous smoke scores were right up there with the best, probably the best.
Looking at that stream behind him, I'd say it's a bit more serious than a blower belt. Very disappointing, but here comes Diesel. Darren Williams in the XF ute. Oh, fantastic entry to the snake pit. Great start.
Yeah, that's great. Right down into the bottom corner. He's got 2 donuts to get him down into that corner, using up a lot of real estate early days and clearing a space for him to be able to come back up towards the start line. So he's got plenty of vision to be able to throw that XF ute around.
He was at Summernats 28 early this year with a different paint job. Can he make it to Summernats 29 in January next year? Well, so far so good for the 34-year-old West Aussie.
He'll be keen to get back there. He only just missed out on the top 10 last year. So he'll be looking to get himself another ticket and go one better in 2016.
If you're thinking this thing sounds stout, you're right. He just put out 780 horsepower on the dyno recently.
Pretty serious horsepower. He's got the carbies on top of this big block 4. Methanol running through them.
Oh, and backs that tailgate up inches away from the concrete wall.
I think those tyres are well and truly gone. This is all just for show now. That was a pretty serious contender, that, from Darren Williams. Very consistent revs all the way through it. The tyres have gone down in around about a minute, and that's because he kept those revs up right the way through the burnout. Big continuous smoke scores. Look at that.
He goes to number 1, 174.5 for Diesel. A past winner of some of the biggest events here at the Motorplex. And that was back in the days when it wasn't even blown. So knows how to drive, whether it's got the big supercharger on it or not. And there is that spectacular entry at the start of the skid.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I think that's about the best tip-in we've seen tonight. Certainly would have scored very well with the judges. Driven right through it, genuine 360, got it down into that deep corner, engulfed the place in smoke. And here we see him towards the end as he just rolls it back towards to the wall. And as I said, that was all for show. Just on and off the throttle, controlled flames. That's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, well, he's on top right now as Pagey moves forward. Get a run up, throw it in, hold on.
Another really good tip in. Got it down nice and deep. Another carburetted blown car this time. You notice the difference between the engines running carbies versus the ones running injector hats. The revs seem to be a lot more consistent.
From Coolum, just south of Perth, Anthony Page and Pagey putting pretty good show on right now.
He sure is. There's not much he's doing wrong, to be honest. He's used a lot of the pad, constant smoke, really good driving skill as well. This is not a light car. He's throwing it around in a pretty decent manner.
He's been recently fighting fires in the forests around Western Australia. As recently as January, he had his work cut out for him, helping out the local fire departments. And no flames out there in the snake pit as of yet. Been plenty so far tonight, though.
There sure has. None from Anthony. He's not long off getting the tyres down. This is going to be scoring really well. I've really enjoyed this one. Bit of a surprise packet.
Gets himself stationary just for a moment. Long enough for us to have a look at the Epic Tyres signage. He's about to smash a couple of Epic tyres right here, I'd say. Can't be long off it.
This is such a good skid from Anthony Page. He's got the left hand down, not far off the right. You see the flames coming out the back as he just starts to feather the throttle. Just a little bit of showmanship towards the end of this really tough, stout, contending burnout. And there we go, he's got him down. Crowd is erupting.
It's one of the things that makes this event so good, and 154 points puts him into the top three. And as the tyres go bang, he has his hands on one of those golden tickets to Summonats right now. But it's this man leading the way from Justin Brown in one to go. But we've still got some heavy hitters, including Peter Flint and Lynchy, still to come. Welcome back to the Epic Tyres Burnout King event, the Perth Motorplex. We're not too far away from Rick Fuller in LS1 coming out. Trying to take you back to January where he finished third outright and made his way to the top 10 with this amazing skid. It's good, isn't it, to just rewind the mind and focus on what was an amazing event back in January. Remember, we're going back to do it all over again. Summonats 29, January 7th to January 10th. And here comes LS1 right now with plenty of RPM and speed.
I love that sound. We're talking about the unique whine of the blown injected LS engines. This is the most unique, I think.
If there's a driver who just seems to epitomise how national this sport is at the moment, it's Rick Fuller. I mean, last year he was doing skids in Darwin, Cairns. As recently he's been in Canberra, and here he is in Perth, putting on a show for this massive Motorplex crowd, and there's fire. The noise goes out.
That was the epitome of the death rattle right at the end there, I think, Chad.
Oh,
I don't know if we're going to see too much more from Rick.
He recently replaced his GM Motorsport 383 cubic inch combo with this one. The fire is going to lift the bonnet, assess the damage, and he looks a very disappointed man.
Yeah, it's never good when the helmet's off, thrown back in the car and the bonnet's in the air. Oh, and that looks like a gudgeon pin.
And that means it's serious and all over. It opens up the door for Jason Ballard now in bad WV.
Pretty tidy looking car. Got the revs right up there. Tips it in nice and deep. Giving the limiter a fair old hiding.
I love that shot. It just gives you a scale for the smoke. Industrial lights in the background. We're not too far away from the ocean here. And remember, off to Canberra in January. That's what this is all about, trying to grab one of those 3 precious golden tickets that will see your entry to the Burnout Masters.
And he's on the money so far, Jason Ballard. Good, consistent revs. doing the right thing and keeping it off the limiter. The judges over here at the Motorplex will mark the driver down for excessive use of the rev limiter. So he's doing a great job, and his smoke scores are really good as well.
Back on board. The Carby's reaching high. Oh, and so too are the revs, but Ballard is putting absolutely everything on the line right now. Oh, and there goes the left rear in fairly spectacular fashion, throwing sparks everywhere. I think it's ripped a tyre clean off the rim.
Only the one, though. I think he's only got the one tyre down. He really needed to get that second tyre down. Yeah, and there you go. It's showing in that score. The first tyre is worth 5 points. The second tyre is worth 15 points.
So that's cost him, hasn't it, dramatically? And the scorecard's reflecting that. So either way, it was a great skid for Bad WB. And now we move on forward to Mick Cleary in GM Hazard. And let's relive this amazing tip-in from Summonats 28. Watch this. That is just about perfect. That's what this guy is capable of. It helped him finish 6th at the Burnout Masters. Only a small block combo, but it sure knows how to scream.
Certainly does. Up over 8,000 revs there. Let's see what he's got on the tip-in. Yeah, looks pretty good from that angle.
That was cool. 39-year-old Victorian from Portland, just beyond the Great Ocean Road. Part of this massive conglomerate of Victorian cars that have travelled all the way to be here.
Working the throttle a little bit. Just needs to keep it off the limiter, which he seems to be doing at the moment, but the thing's making so much horsepower, it's really hard to keep these 1,000 horsepower monsters off the limiters.
And wasn't this guy one of the real good luck stories from Summonats this year?
He sure was, coming 6th in his first attempt.
Oh! And
what's happened there? Doesn't sound all that good. It's still running though.
Hard to pick exactly what's going on. There was smoke out the exhaust.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. He needs to shut that down.
It's eating itself up.
Gee, that's a real shame for Mick. He was actually on a really good run then. Driver was pretty good. Revs were pretty good. Smoke was really good. Yeah, there we go. Bit of flame up through the bonnet there. Not sure what the problem is, but that smoke out the exhaust is never a good sign.
I'm amazed it didn't just seize up altogether. We move now to another Victorian from Gornong in Victoria, outside of Bendigo. Here comes Adam Slorach in Numbnuts.
This little ute is amazing. Adam's had this on the scene for as long as I can remember. It's always been 6-cylinder, and he beats V8s wherever he goes.
Certainly not scared of the RPM today in the little 6-cylinder.
It's just a little 202 cubic inch hole. Just an old red motor. Stuck a blower on it, stuck a carby on it, run some methanol through it, and this is what you get. Consummate entertainer, Adam Slorach. And he certainly knows how to drive this thing. He's done hundreds and hundreds of burnouts in this, and it shows by the way he's able to control this car. It's not a massive horsepower car, drives it within its limits, keeps the revs up as high as he can, and takes it to as many corners of the pad as he can, which is what he's doing right here. Will really be impressing these judges.
Flames out the back when he hits the rev limiter. Even bigger flames when he lifts off the throttle altogether. One hand on the steering wheel, one hand egging that massive Motorplex crowd on. Such an incredible venue for burnouts. As this huge crowd comes to the Burnout King event annually to line each side of this snake pit and cheer on these gladiators of smoke.
He's going as hard as he can. There's a lot of rev limiter in there, making sure he's leaving nothing to the imagination.
And there go the tyres.
They are done and dusted.
Oh, flames as well right at the very end. But the scorecards are through.
He's very, very happy.
And that is the best non-V8 burnout so far this weekend by a mile. Congratulations, Adam Slorach, putting on a show. And we still have 2 more to go. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Perth Motorplex. Just 2 more skids remain. The Epic Tyres Burnout King event. It's all about qualifying for the Burnout Masters in January, and that's exactly what Peter Flint in Old Hoon is trying to do right now. It's been a good night for Utes so far.
It sure has. And Pete's continuing the tradition. It's looking really tough these days with the black trim, the black motor, the Old Hoon view. 500 plus cubes, forward big block, blown, methanol carbies. Doesn't get too much better than that.
As a matter of fact, we've got Utes filling the top 5 places at the moment on the judges' scorecards. And I'll tell you what, this is not a bad effort from Peter Flint to find his way up towards the top.
Yeah, he's certainly going the right way about it. Oh, there's just a bit of flame creeping out from in between the guard and the bonnet. Oh, he's had to stop. Goes back into it. So that little stop might affect his continuous smoke scores.
And eventually, it was always going to be too much, wasn't it? That level of fire was always going to cost him. He's concerned. He wants to see exactly what's going on there.
It is still running. He's probably got a breather box up the front there that's just filled up with a bit of oil.
The flames were fairly visible. He's going to get back in it and finish the job anyway.
You only get one shot at this, so he's going to enjoy his time out on the pad. That's disappointing for Peter. He was doing a good job. Pretty good smoke scores.
Well, he came in to bust some tyres. That's exactly what he's going to do. The left rear is gone, and the right rear is about to join the party. Had it not been for that stop, that could almost have been ticket worthy, I reckon.
It would not have been far away.
Finished inside the top 10 at last year's Burnout King event. He's going to throw a few DVDs up into the crowd.
Yeah, that'll help his showmanship scores. No question about that.
144.5, that's still not bad considering what went on. He goes to 5th as a result.
So if he just had been able to hang on, he could have found himself on his way to Summonats.
And look who it is. It's Andrew Lynch in Lynchy. We were talking about the importance of a good tip-in, and I think the crowd know what they're in for because they've seen this man before. He was on fire at Summonats 28. This was the first of the big tip-ins during his wildcard entry on Thursday. Have a go at that.
Now bear in mind, this was Lynchy's first attempt at the Burnout Masters, and he laid it all on the line with that double tip into the return road.
And this is what he did on the Saturday, just to prove that it wasn't a fluke. Mad, absolutely mad. That saw him qualify for the final 10, and it's such a shame that the rain came down to spoil the show because there was no way he could have put a tip in the fashion that he was doing it in that kind of weather. And to be fair, he was robbed of a really good result. In the end, he finished just inside the top 10, 9th overall. But the crowd know what he's capable of, and that's what they want to see out of this little Toyota Corolla.
Great instant smoke from Lynchy. Let's see what he's got on the tip-in. Absolutely no surprise. Nearly gets it out the return road. Now he's going to make his way back up to the start line. Oh, magnificently hovers along the concrete barrier. Donuts upon donuts. The key to the car control in this little Corolla is the balance. It's got an LS1 up front. The rest of the car's pretty light. He's just able to tip it on top of itself time after time.
Travelled 3,000 k's to drop this skid. I reckon about 3,000 fans came just to see this man from Horsham in Victoria. He's got his girlfriend Tania along for the ride tonight. I wonder what's going through her head. Just hold on for dear life, probably. And the speed has not dissipated. Still frantically working his way up and down this snake pit.
There is so much Revliner in there. It's shutting down cylinders left, right and centre. But Lynchy's all about the party. He's all about the good time. He's got a tyre down, arms out the window. He's not stopping for anyone.
Well, Darren Williams had better be on notice here. The energy of this man is infectious. He's taking over the Australian burnout scene. but he falls short. Just 4 points short of taking what would have been a huge win for the Victorian burnout scene.
What an exhibition that was. He is the ultimate entertainer. As we have another look at this tip-in, look at the speed.
I don't know how he does it, and I don't know how he did it at Summernat with such a confined space to work in. With such a big pad to work with here, he was always going to use as much of it as possible. He didn't disappoint.
It's just control. He's so in control of that car. He knows it inside out. A lot of other drivers tip it in fast and hope for the best, but Lynchy's just all over that car. He knows what it's doing.
That crowd has seen something special tonight. Tim Hill was pretty impressed too.
Bow to the king.
Well, he didn't quite claim that title of being the king tonight. That'll go to Diesel, but this man has earned himself a legion of fans once again. Might need a new helmet too after that treatment. I don't think he cares. That car was still moving when he jumped out.
I think it was. It's, I would not put anything past Lynchy. And look at the excitement. He just loves the skid, probably more than anyone on the planet.
Incredible. That's how they will wind up at the end of a massive night here. The Epic Tyres Burnout King has put on a show. Congratulations to Darren Williams. Thanks to Aaron Mackley for joining me in commentary. We can't wait to crown some more Burnout Masters at Brashenats in Sydney. That's happening in June. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you there.